This is Catch a Break, the insider's guide to breaking into and navigating Hollywood, conceived by Catchlight Films. Whether you are looking to work in film or television or new media, it's all production and it's all entertainment. Maybe you are already in the business, but looking to make a change, shift your focus, explore a new area. This is for you too. In each episode, Catch a Break brings you a panel of top experts currently working in the business for conversations you won't hear anywhere else. And we'll provide you with bonus materials you can get your hands on and sink your teeth into. We'll give you samples of paperwork and forms you need to be familiar with, video tutorials, exclusive resources that will all help with your success. The presenting sponsor of this episode is the entertainment payroll company Extreme Reach. They have the most comprehensive suite of tools and services to support all areas of media and content creation, from tax incentive support to accounting software and payroll services. If you are producing content, call Extreme Reach. This episode is also sponsored by vetyourcrew.com, a global database of entertainment professionals geared toward collaboration and inclusion. Think of it as a global address book for crew, which also has an interactive calendar to show when you're available, and a robust search engine to help you find and hire exactly who you're looking for. Go to vetyourcrew.com to sign up. You can find us at catchabreakpodcast.com and all the podcast providers. I am your host, Julie Harris Walker. You may know me from the podcast The Other 50%, a herstory of Hollywood, or even the Kiss My Age show. But today, the focus is on you and how we can help you to catch a break. I'm sitting here with Parker Lemal-Brown, who is a recent college graduate and moved to Los Angeles to pursue a career in entertainment. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Where did you go?
I went to Bowdoin College in Maine. It is a small liberal arts school right on the coast of the Atlantic.
And what was your major?
It was sociology with a minor in Francophone studies, which is a fancy word for French.
That's a super fancy degree.
Yes.
But what do you want to do?
I want to write for TV, and I ultimately would love to be a showrunner.
All right. What kind of shows do you want to write?
Dark comedies. I really love the kind of shows that are funny but aren't afraid to be addressing really serious issues like mental health, like just social issues, things like that, which I've been really lucky to grow up with that kind of show.
Who are some of your influencers and inspiration?
I really love Aline Brosh McKenna from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Jenji Cohen, like growing up with Orange is the New Black was a really big deal.
Yes.
I really love like Issa Rae. I love Donald Glover with Atlanta. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who created Fleabag and Killing Eve. I especially like these creators that both like write and star in their own stuff. Like the creator of Chewing Gum, as well as another British comedy, Mikhail Cole, is like, I just think they're all geniuses, honestly.
So when you graduated, you wanted to move to LA and start working in the business. What did you do?
I started networking like 2 years earlier, just when I first wanted to go into entertainment, where I basically went on Facebook and I knew two people who worked in Hollywood who had come do an improv show in my town. And I had an improv club and we did this workshop together, and somewhere along the way we became Facebook friends. And so years later, when I was a junior in college, I realized that you could go and see people's friends on Facebook and you could send them friend requests. And so I kind of knew who these guys were working with, or like, you know, they knew somebody on one show. And I was like, well, that show has writers on this show and this one and this one. And like, you could kind of draw a map of who was working there. So I started sending out hundreds of friend requests to all these like writers and producers and actors in Hollywood. So I did that. And if people would, you know, for every like 60, you'd get like maybe 3 friend requests. And then I'd send out a message to them and be like, hey, I'm a student, I'm interested in TV. Do you have any advice? Or like, can we have a phone call? And out of those, you know, like I probably got like 300, like hundreds of friend requests. And then I got to get on a couple dozen calls with people and just ask their advice. And one of them was this woman, Lynn Sternberg, who wrote for the show The Bold Type. And I just asked the standard thing of like, hey, I'm a student. I would love some advice. Like, what is it like to be a writer in LA? And she was like, next time you're in LA, I'll buy you coffee and tell you everything.
Really?
Yes, like absolutely fantastic person. And so I came out here for spring break. I actually got a free flight from my college because we were going up to San Francisco for what's West Trek. It's like for startups, which I worked at a startup my sophomore year. So I was like, yeah, like sure, I'm going for technology. And then I like took the I get the shorter flight to LA. And we got coffee together. And then a few months later, she was like, hey, there's this development internship that I think you would be really good for. So I sent some coverage in. I did that and one other interview, and I heard back about this internship the day before I flew out. So.
And this is the internship you got?
Yes.
Okay, let's break this down. You went on Facebook, you figured out who was writing on shows, you targeted those people, you friended those people, and you asked them to talk to you.
Yes,
and
it sounds really creepy. Yeah.
That's amazing. This is a whole new world.
It really is, yeah. And I always say it's like professional stalking, but it worked.
It did work. So this is not the try to get an internship through the studio program that has 25 interns and a whole long list of competitive whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I just never heard about those opportunities. And like going to a liberal arts school, there were certain paths that were very well paved for students, but most of it tended to be like, you know, law, finance, medicine, consulting, and nonprofits were kind of the major career paths. And there were some fellowships that were offered for entertainment, but usually like they were for students of color or something else that I wouldn't qualify for. And even when I did ask for certain internships, like my career advisor just didn't know where to find them. So a lot of times I ended up going, you know, I checked LinkedIn to see if people were on there, because in the startup world, that's where everybody was networking, was through LinkedIn. But I couldn't find the people I was trying to find until I went on Facebook and found that that was really where everybody was connecting. And it was a way to like reach out to people directly and they get back every once in a while. And it could take months at a time. It took 6 months to get a phone call once.
Man, so you really created your own path. That was really smart.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely frustrating sometimes because I did not have a single internship in college. And even when I spent like 6 months trying to find an internship, you know, like the interview went south and that was like, I was just out of options completely. And like, you know, again, I went to the career center, like, do you have any scholarships so I can go like, you know, scholarships for living in New York or LA for a summer? Do you know any other place I can apply? Any people like alumni I can talk to? And I just wasn't getting any answers, or I'd reach out to people and they just never get back to me. So it came out of this like inability to go through the kind of traditional way that I felt a lot of my peers could do.
Well, it's got to be really different in a school in Maine as opposed to, say, Emerson with their LA semester program.
Oh yeah, no, and I actually know somebody who did that program, and that was the other thing where like I was like, oh my god, I chose the wrong school on the wrong coast. Physically and metaphorically, I could not be further away from the industry I want to be in.
But you figured it out, so you moved here.
I did, yeah. I planned on doing it no matter what. I was like, I'm not going to be living in Ohio any more than I need to. Like, I'll go to my sister's graduation, I'll have a few weeks at home, and then I like I booked my flight like several months in advance of like end of June, I'm leaving.
You were determined.
Yeah, and I was hoping like, you know, worst case scenario, I was like, okay, I will have like a month between when my college roommate was moving out, and I was like, just try to find a job then, like if that's not going to happen. But I got really lucky by having this job offer literally the day before.
So where is this internship?
So this is at E1 in Santa Monica.
And it's paid?
It is, yes, which everyone's like, what? I can't believe it. Yeah, it's $13.25 an hour, which I was like, also blew my mind coming from outside of LA. It's like maybe like $7.25.
I mean, it still won't rent you an apartment.
I'm rich, yeah. I know, and then I was like looking at apartments and I was like, never mind.
It's a whole different ballgame. So what are you doing in that internship?
So I work in TV development. It's currently me and one other intern, and we'll do coverage of scripts that come in. We do basic research for people. Say, if, you know, they're people looking for writers or directors and just kind of want like a general idea of the field. We'll make spreadsheets, things like that. I've drawn, like, you know, made cue cards for marketing tapes, like did that with the head of marketing, like, you know, just trying to like make these cue cards. Sometimes it's just like covering people's desks. I'm learning how to roll calls and just kind of fill in for different assistants, which has been really cool, and seeing, you know, being in business and legal affairs versus being in like the more creative side.
Are there a lot more moving parts than you thought?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's interesting seeing just how just the way these conversations start, like, you know, where does the material come from? What are people looking for? What does a pitch sound like coming from an executive? You know, and that's taught me a lot as a writer. And then you have all these other moving parts of just like getting a show off the ground and seeing how long it takes for development to happen, and like putting together writers' rooms figuring out deals with networks, things like that.
That's got to be such a great education as you're trying to figure out how to be a writer.
Oh yeah, no, I could not have asked for a better first job. It really works.
What is coverage and how did you figure out how to do it?
So coverage is basically, I always say it's like you're the first line of defense when a new piece comes in, and usually it's a spec script, as I say, like, so somebody wrote a screenplay or a teleplay, and they sent it in, and my job is to read it, summarize it, and come up with what's called a log line. So like sum it up in one sentence and then give a full synopsis of what happens in it, and then give some brief comments on, is this a good story or not? And usually like my job is to say like, should we pass? Should you consider this? Or would I recommend you reading this and passing it on? And it can be more in-depth than others sometimes, like, you know, the characters, are the characters good? Is there a strong plot? Are the stakes high? Is this something that's marketable? Is there something already kind of like it there? Like, there's a lot of different factors, and then also giving a suggestion of like, this would be great for a young adult audience on cable or like basic cable or something like that, or this is a great network procedural, something like that. The thing with coverage, like I would read a lot of screenplays just for fun, and like you can get scripts off the internet for free, just like, you know, put in a show like script PDF, and you can find sometimes really early drafts. Like there's Tina Fey's first draft of 30 Rock is online.
Oh my God.
When it was like untitled, she was named Lisa Lemon instead of Liz Lemon. And it's like, those are just fascinating to me. But coverage was the first time was when, I actually like was given materials of like, this is how you read it and give formal feedback, and here's how to format it, which took a lot of trial and error also, because the first time I would be like giving feedback that was just really obnoxious, or like not like there's like huge big picture of like, well, why don't you just make like this storyline instead, or like, oh, this movie would be so much cooler if like you just did this. Yeah.
Okay, so someone did give you guidance on here's how we want to see the coverage.
Yeah, and the key thing with coverage too is just having the materials, because you're seeing material that nobody else has seen yet, and so it is very confidential, and it's not something that just anybody can have. Which that was kind of the turning point for me, was being able to access that type of material and get that kind of experience while I was still a student, which usually you'd need a formal internship to have. And that's been something I'm really like been passionate about, is like, how can we increase access to entry-level jobs and this kind of experience, especially for people who didn't grow up in LA, who don't know somebody in the industry, who haven't had internship experience, because that's like the most valuable skill I have right now, is just knowing how to do coverage. And that's been very helpful at my job. It's been helpful like doing freelance work too, and it helps as a writer, but it's all about access.
Yeah. So you have this internship now, and you're starting to think about when this internship ends, what you're going to do. What is your plan?
That is a very good question. I don't know, I've been thinking about that a lot. And one of my biggest questions is just like, when do I ask about jobs? Who do I ask, and what should I be looking for? And I ultimately want to work in a writer's room, but I've heard from multiple people that I should really be getting agency experience. So that's the first big question, is like, do I go and join a mailroom, or should I try to get, you know, a writer's PA job, or should I work in production? Should I continue working in development? You know, if somebody offered me like, you know, they needed a new assistant somewhere, like that's happened for other interns at my company, like should I take that opportunity? And so that's what I'm really wondering, is like, what should I be seeing? I've had a couple of opportunities come up, but I couldn't take them because, you know, here, I'm here. It is this kind of weird situation where I'm like, I'm only working until December, but I am working until December. So if you can give me like a dream job, but if it starts on Monday, I can't take it. Which is also the scary part, is like, maybe everything will come together, you know, around Christmas, but that's also like, when I'm thinking about housing, when I'm thinking about bills, where am I going to live? What am I going to do? How long can I go visit my family, like back in Ohio, when I don't know if I'm going to be employed when I get back?
Right, it is hard to make plans in this crazy business and this freelance world. And the list of all the options that you laid out, that's kind of the obstacle and the magic of it, because you could take any of those paths and get where you want to go. I think it depends on which opportunity presents itself, and you grab onto it. Are you also writing a ton? Do you have a stack of scripts?
Yes. So I wrote 3 plays while I was during my last year in college, which was, that gave me a lot of experience with, some production, hearing my work out loud, collaborating with people on writing, which was really awesome. I just finished a pilot that I started last summer. It's pretty autobiographical. I wrote, 3 drafts before I came out to LA, and then since then I did, a ton of revisions. I started sending it out to people, and now I'm getting to the point where I feel like it's polished enough to let I've been trying to share it with different people, and I wrote a series Bible, so that's kind of my package. But everyone's like, you have 1 pilot, you need 2. So now it's I'm on to the next step of okay, what is the next project? Do I work on a pilot? Do I work on, I have a few unfinished screenplays. Should I go back and try to, finish those? My friend and I are trying to work on a web series as well, which I hope will give us both a lot of production experience. And if it does actually end up being finished, that would be a good calling card as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the big thing is, once you finish one thing, you should be on to the next thing.
You got to have another thing in your pocket.
Exactly.
But it sounds like you're doing all the things you need to do to be ready.
Yeah, that's what I'm always hoping, and that's been the weirdest thing is being in this mindset of both, people have given me the advice of if you have any success in 5 years, that's overnight, you are the overnight success. But also at the same time, in my own experience, it's been anytime I'm just why would anybody read something of mine? Why would I ever I'm young, I'm inexperienced, I have no idea what I'm doing, and then the next day somebody's here's your opportunity, are you ready? Mm-hmm. So that's definitely kept me a lot more on my toes of I literally have no idea when the next opportunity will come up, and I'm finding that it's better to be prepared and think of myself as ready for that versus being oh, that's never going to happen. Which there's definitely days like that where I'm do I need to write? Who's going to care about what I think until I'm at this level in my
Stop
career?
it.
Right? And it hurts
Stop it.
if I'm thinking that and I don't write that night and I don't finish that project, and then suddenly, somebody higher up is oh, I want to see your material, and it's oh my God, I should have been doing that. Instead of being oh, I'm just 22 and nobody will care what I think.
No, you have to be ready because then you're going to turn 25 and be too old. So
yeah, exactly.
Get on with it.
This is my window.
Success is opportunity meets preparation.
Preparation.
So just always be ready.
That was I went to a panel at the Writers Guild Foundation on Wednesday, and Bruce Miller, who created The Handmaid's Tale, he was his piece of advice was don't worry about the door, worry about your foot.
Yes. That is great advice.
It became the thing of the night. Everyone's yes.
That is it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you had 3 questions for our panel of experts, what would they be?
I brought this one up already, but who do I ask for a job and when, and do I ask at all? I think it's how do you find opportunities, really? How can I try my best to be in the right place in the right time? How do I find a mentor? That's my biggest question, I think, right now is how, I'm at the point where my mentor in college has been really, really helpful, but also does not work in this industry, and now is on the other side of the country. And I have material, but a lot of times with my own writing, I'm I can't really find a way to go further than I already have without having outside feedback and kind of beyond just friends and family from back home, but now wanting to see what does this look like in the industry.
Sure.
Yeah, so that would be the most valuable thing I think right now. And then this is a more specific thing, but should I be going to an agency? And that's been something that has always been suggested to me from the very beginning, and it's something that I'm always been kind of wary of. It's a culture in itself.
You mean to work at one or to submit your work to?
To work at one, yeah.
Yeah, some people would say, go work inside the agency, you see how it all works, and then you have all those connections.
Yeah, and I think there was a bigger question, too, that I was really wrestling with a few weeks ago, was I was asked to write a bio about myself, which is in the third person, and I identify as non-binary, and I use they, them pronouns, and suddenly it was this, should I use that in this bio? Or should I be using female pronouns because that's more acceptable? And it became a bigger question of how genuine should I be presenting myself, even if it's at professional risk. And especially for me coming from, this tiny liberal arts college, I'm I was in this bubble and I'm aware of that, but being new to the industry, I really don't know how progressive people are or what things people are aware of. So I'm am I bringing in this new vocabulary, and am I alienating myself? And this became where I am if I only have my work to go off of, I don't want to put any obstacle in front of people reading my work. So this became that became this really ongoing debate about, gender and pronouns and just general presentation.
I'm going to say to you what I've interviewed now 125 people in this business. Your authenticity is your superpower. You have to be as authentic as possible, and you could not be at a better time in a better place right now to be exactly who you are, and that is going to be the thing that shoots you ahead in your career.
Oh, that is really great to hear.
You have to.
Wow. I am so excited to be here right now, and just watching from kind of the sidelines while I was still in college was everything about the Me Too movement has just been blowing my mind. And having you say that means so much to me. It's these little pieces of encouragement that I've gotten from people. I've talked to, I think, about 60 industry professionals by now, but I remember that one sentence that was kind of we need you out here.
Yeah.
Or do it. Just be yourself and do this thing. And it's fairly simple, but those are the ones that stick with me constantly, even if it's yeah, my friends are are you sure you're not going to grad school? Or have this clear path.
No, be here now. You are the one we've been waiting for. Get in there.
There you go. That's
all I have to say. We're done.
Yeah, boom.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This has been Catch a Break, the insider's guide to breaking into and navigating Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. I'd like to thank Parker Lemal-Brown for sharing their story. And special thanks to our intern, Akiva Nemetsky, and our consultant, Lee Schneider of Red Cup Studios. Thanks also to Audio Department, who generously provided the recording equipment, and Jean Malanafi, who designed our logo. And a big thank you to Andrew Jocelyn, who created our theme song, Mantra for a Struggling Artist, and any additional music you hear throughout. Catch a Break is produced by Jeanette Volturno, Jessica Malanafi, Marcy Brown, Rick Osako, Shirley Davis, and me, Julie Harris Walker. Now you're going to want to check out our next episode, which is entitled, What Are All These Forms and Who Are All These People? This is the episode where we're going to go through call sheets. Who is everybody on a set and what are they doing? And we're going to do that for scripted TV and film and also unscripted or reality television. And we're going to give you samples of those forms so you can follow along. So go find that episode next. You can find us at catchabreakpodcast.com, and that is also where you can go to download the bonus materials. Join our mailing list so you don't miss an episode or other programs, and we want to hear from you. So reach out through the website. Again, that's catchabreakpodcast.com. And also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Thanks for listening, and we hope this helps you to catch a break.